women have like this, it's like a shame oath where it's like they refuse to shame other women. Whereas men,
it's a sisterhood.
We bash each other all day long. Like, dude, you're an idiot. What are you doing, man? You're supposed to pay your taxes 3 months ago.
Oh, we can also call each other fat, and it's fine. Then we go to the gym. They call me fat. I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably go to the gym. You know, so we don't have an issue with that. If you say something like, hey man, you know, you should make more money. Like none of us are like, man, I can't believe, oh my God, I can't believe.
Well, this goes back to what you're saying about men and solving problems, because it's really what we are.
Yes.
Right. We try to solve problems and the women want you to listen. You know, I mean, just listen to me. Just listen. It's almost impossible because by nature we are brought up to try to always solve people's problems. As when we come to each other as men and we say we have a problem, what we want is for this other guy to sit there and be like, okay, here's what you should do. When a woman comes to you, like, no, just listen to me. It's like, well, if I just keep listening to you, you're going to run into this problem again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then it's going to happen again and again and again. And you got to give me the space to at least explain it to you. And then the bear takes
there's a comedy skit. It's like about a 2-minute long like video on YouTube. It's been around for like 10 or 12 years now. And it's called It's Not About the Nail. And it's this couple, it opens this couple up and they're out sitting on this couch. And the woman's like talking and she's explaining to the guy that's on the couch. We presume it's the husband or a boyfriend or something. And she's like saying, I have this horrible feeling in my head. It's just like, I got these headaches and constantly, you know, I just don't know what to do about it. And then it pans to her and she's got a nail, like a big old carpenter's nail, like right dead in center of her forehead. Nail. And she's like complaining about these headaches and she's got migraines and everything else. And the guy's sitting there and he's like, you know, I bet if we pulled that nail out of your head, that it would, you know, that we could probably solve this problem, right? And then she looks at him and she's like, it's not about the nail, you know, and she's she like basically like, you know, saying, yeah, I can't believe you're so insensitive that you would think it was about the nail, you know. And so then she goes on and starts droning on about like how the nail is hurting her and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but I bet if we took the nail out, you know, it's like, then so she freaks out every time he says that.
Listening?
And so that's the moral of the story, right? The lesson in there is that women just want to, like, they don't want the problem solved. They just want to vent and they want to talk about things and they want to feel heard. And men are like, but you wouldn't be in that pain, in that position, if I could solve this fucking problem for you. Just pull the fucking nail out.
And what happens when these problems occur, right? Like when they start getting upset about this, when they have an issue, okay, they're having problems financially, let's say, or they're having problems with a girlfriend at work, right? And you try to solve this problem for them, but they just want to be heard. And the problem continues going on. They're bringing home this problem now to their spouse. And so now their spouse has to deal with it. And then they're supposed to somehow throughout all of this, stay calm. As men, we're to stay calm. Don't get upset. You know, why would you say this to me after all this that I'm going through? Do you think that we could ever possibly get to a space where women have some sort of an understanding?
No,
because it's always about us.
It's because our communication sucks.
Evolutionarily, it's not possible because, I mean, it's great that you asked the question. From an evolutionary standpoint, her evolutionary psychology is different from my evolutionary psychology. And her endocrinology is way less testosterone. And women actually do have more testosterone than estrogen, but they have, as a comparison, they have almost as much estrogen as testosterone. Men have 17 times more testosterone than women do. And so for us, our assertiveness, our ability, our spatial awareness, and our necessity to solve problems is paramount. I was just thinking about this, like Justin Waller, my friend Dan Fleischman, whenever I talk to him, whenever I talk to my friend Dan Bilzerian, whenever we're talking, our conversations almost always eventually revolve around solving a problem. It's a sales team problem. It's
building something.
We're building something.
Yes.
It's a social media problem. It's a sales funnel problem. It's a finance problem. And it's so I love Justin Waller. He's my buddy. And whenever I talk to Justin, we're always trying to help each other solve problems. That's how I show love and loyalty to my friends, as I help pull the fucking nail out, when the nail that they can't see. That's always what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my friends on other people's podcasts. I'm trying to find my friends new sales associates. I'm trying to get my friends hired executives in their company. I'm always trying to help them, because that's how I show affection. It's not by buying them gifts, and it's not by telling like, hey bro, you doing okay? Like, I could do that if that's what you need. If you literally need that, that's fine. But like, for the most part, it's like, we just want to solve a problem. And like, for me, so here's the thing. When I explain that to you, all of us in this room as men, we understand that. It's like, that is how you show that you love someone, that you care about somebody. But someone on the outside who didn't see me cry or my facial expression change at all because I was stoic the whole time, they think you're holding in all your emotions. No, I'm not. I'm not. I feel the same emotions you do. It's just I've learned a different way to express it. I express it with a new bench press max, and I express it by getting my fucking friends paid.
The shit still sucks.
I
Trust
get
me.
my friends paid. That is how I express. That's how I express my feelings. That's the gratitude. The apex of the human experience is to have a family and to accomplish goals with other men. That is it. That's the top. That's the
Men
that's
have
enlightenment.
men
you
have
can
a
get.
burden of performance. That's the way we estimate how the value of a man. Men estimate other men their value as to what makes you respectable. What have you done that means I should respect what you've done, right? So for women, respect is kind of a gendered concept, right? So for men have a different definition of respect than women do. And by the way, if you look this up in the dictionary, there's actually two definitions for respect. One is the one that I'm talking about right now. What makes you respectable? What gives you integrity, your character and everything else? What have you accomplished as a guy? What your burden of performance? Okay, how have you performed that means I should have respect for you? And that's like a merit-based hierarchical definition of respect. For women, it's in the round. It's egalitarian. Everyone deserves respect. You guys need to get a participation trophy. Everyone should feel special. Everyone should feel respected. Everyone is it's like almost common courtesy. It's like this idea that everyone respect is something that's like a common thing. It's just something that you ought to have rather than whether it's earned. So when men and women start talking about like respect, women are using one definition and men are using the other definition because men are hierarchical and women tend to be more egalitarian and more like communitarian, right? So everybody deserves respect versus what have you done that means, how have you merited my respect? Why should I have that for you? And it goes back to like wanting to solve problems. What are your accomplishments? What are your talents? Have you maximized your potential? There's a lot of different criteria for men when it comes to like doing things and achieving things that earn them respect amongst other men. That's why we do things hierarchically. In the military, there's a rank, there's chain of command. In the workspace, there's the CEO, there's the CFO, there's a COO, and all down to the janitor. And on team sports, there's a team captain, all the way down to the guy. So we tend to think of things in terms of hierarchy and and that's usually based on respect for the most part. So like how much money do you make is according to like what your performance is. For women, it's more egalitarian. It's much more socialist. It's much more communitarian. And it's just a difference of psychology.
Who you fuck?
And yeah, it's the female psyche versus the male psyche. So what's the best way to organize a society? Is it hierarchical or is it in the round? Is it in egalitarianism? And really for the last, I'd say 65 years right now, we've really kind of been experimenting with how would women organize society, and that's why we're kind of where we're at right now with everything being communitarian, everything like sort of leaning socialist right now as far as politics are concerned, because we're really experimenting with this female way of doing things because we put women into such a position of power right now that seems obvious to them, whereas for us it's like we want things to be more hierarchical. And so when you put those two together, or you have old hierarchical systems that you put females into those systems and they want to change those systems, they turn that hierarchy into a community because that's the only thing that they know. So, and it goes back to what he was saying. Men and women, when they process emotions differently, and not because of some social conditioning or some macho bullshit, it's not social construction. It's because we literally lack the hardware. Our brains are literally not wired like women's brains are. There's just two studies that came out not too long. I don't know if I showed these to you. Two studies that were they're like fMRI studies and showing how the neural wiring of men and women and how like men tend to be more like spatial. We can throw objects. We're more three-dimensional. We have more of a capacity for like rational thought, whereas women tend to lean more towards emotion. So when we say, well, women are more emotional and men are more rational, it's literally down to the molecular level. It's down to the brain wiring. And the great thing is when you take those studies and you take those fMRI scans and you lay them like a man on top of a woman, they complement each other. Like the deficiencies in a woman are made up for the strengths of men, right? And it's just something that's more graphic. You don't see this like this is a red pill guy like relating this message to you here. And if I go and I say, well, women are better at innately better at communication communication, right? They like communicating much more. They get off on communication. They would communicate just for the sake of it because they find it enjoyable. For men, when we communicate, it's usually information based. It's content based. For women, it's context based. How did the conversation make me feel versus what information amongst guys has been related, and what problems can we solve? What can we build with this information? So men and women literally come to conversations differently. They speak different languages, or they come at it from a different perspective. And so that is also reflective of how men and women's neural wiring works. So if I go and I say, women are better at communication, sub-communication. They innuendos. They read emotions. They read facial expressions, body language, and they like, what are you wearing? That kind of stuff. They get more information out of that stuff than men do because we're just like, we mean what we say and we say what we mean, right? If I say that women are better communicators, everybody's like, oh, yes, you're right. Oh, of course, But if I say, well, men are better at, spatial, recognition, they're better at, certain things that they're better at, like, more rational problem solving. They're more interested in things. And this is Dr. Steven Pinker, by the way. Men tend to be more interested in things. Women tend to be more interested in people. And this is like Pinker studies, right? You go and you say, women are more interested in people. Oh, but you go say, men are more interested in things. How dare you? That's misogynistic. Women are interested in things too, and so because it's it's sort of the narrative that we're at right now.